So in this video, I'm going to be talking to you about how do you pick your career in the right way. And it's not just if you're starting out and if you're a student, you want to pick a career, but even if you are at a job, you may be in your job for 15 years, you may even have a business that's producing a few $1,000,000, or even if you're just starting out and you don't know what you want. In all of these scenarios, you may be considering a career transition. So how do you pick the right career for yourself, a second career, a third career that you might have in mind? So I'm going to talk a little bit about how to do that and what that decision is based on. What are the factors that it should be based on, and what are the factors that it should not be based on? And these are the things that these factors may be things that are not in your best interest, and these are the factors that are in your best interest and are more aligned with your goals and visions of your life. So a little bit of an introduction. I'm an entrepreneur and I own a company in healthcare investments in UAE, and in the last 3 years I have managed to bring together some of the most high profile executives in the whole country to be my business partners, including a CEO of a $3.5 billion company, a lawyer that advised on a $13 billion transaction, top healthcare CEOs with 30 years of experience, and top accountants that advise billion-dollar conglomerates. Those are the types of people that I got together within 60 to 80 days of starting my project, and they are my business partners now. I've negotiated with bankers that have financed $350 million deals. I have negotiated with law firms that have revenue of over $1 billion. I have met billion-dollar companies, they're decision makers of the companies, not the HR department, but the actual decision makers of the company. And I have negotiated transactions valued at $3.5 million, $10 million, $25 million, $120 million, and $140 million. And I am just 29 years old. So how the hell did I do all of this? Okay, and how did I choose this career? And let me tell you, this is an investment business is based in finance, and I don't have a finance background, although now I understand a lot of things in finance, but I did not understand anything. And I'm not even a doctor. Okay, so how am I into healthcare investments, right? And I have not had a background in mergers and acquisitions also, which is something that I'm doing right now. So how am I able to do this, and how did I put myself in the position knowing the fact that I do not have the background to do any of this, and yet I'm doing it, and I'm doing it effectively. And I have done it effectively, in fact, much faster than people who do have a background in this. All right. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the process that I went through to pick a career, and it took me a few careers to decide. I started off wanting to start my own seminar at the age of 17. That was my first business idea. Then I went to yoga and spirituality. It's a subject that I was very interested in, and I instilled in myself the values of discipline and meditation, yoga, all of this. It didn't help me that much, I must admit, looking back, but I did that for 6 to 8 years, and I became a yoga teacher. I even started to organize programs. That business did not go well. I went into e-commerce, and now and then into dating consulting, and now finally mergers and acquisitions. So that's a very broad spectrum of careers that I decided for myself, and this one worked out pretty well. So how did I end up doing the things that I did, where all of the things that I just mentioned are not linked with what I'm doing right now? Or maybe they are linked indirectly. Okay, so when it comes to picking a career, most people choose from either their passion. Okay, that's one of the things that People say, do what you're passionate about. All right. I can assure you the things that I'm doing, I wasn't passionate about them when I started them. I am passionate about them now that I'm good at it. But when I was beginning, I wasn't passionate about it. Anything that you do at the beginning, you're not going to be good at it. And anything that you're not good at it, the chances are you're not going to be passionate about it. Okay. I'm not passionate about cricket for whatever reason. You know, maybe when I was young, I used to play cricket and I used to get out pretty quick. So I didn't like cricket. But I'm sure if I practice and I get good at it, maybe I'll start liking it and then I become passionate about it. So passion is a very fleeting thing. So you don't want to decide your career necessarily on your passion. The second thing people look at, in fact, that's the first thing people look at, is based on their subject of interest and based on the studies that they have done, you know, qualifications, educational background. What did I have when I was in my 11th grade or 12th grade or in my college? What diploma did I do? You know, what degrees did I do? I need to pick my career based on that. That is absolutely horseshit. I'll tell you why. Because all of the pathways, or most of the pathways that lead from college, most of them lead towards employment. How much money can you make being an employee? I don't care if you're a lawyer, I don't care if you're a doctor, I don't care if, and those are highly paid professions. I don't care what industry you get into. If as long as you're an employee, chances are you're not going to make a lot of money and you're going to spend all your time making that money. So it doesn't matter what you studied. Okay, if at the end of the day, if you're going to get a job, the whole purpose is defeated because you're not going to make a lot of money. Maybe your income is just a little bit higher than the other. Maybe you make a few more sales or made some bonuses, but it does not fulfill your life's purpose. So again, you don't want to pick from your qualifications and your educational background, because once you decide what you want to do, something really aligned with your value system, with your goals in life and what you want to accomplish in life and the type of lifestyle you want to live in, you can learn the skills. And if you cannot learn the skills, you can bring people on your team who have those skills. So be open, be flexible. Remember, Elon Musk did not have expertise in starting a software company. He did not have expertise. He wasn't an aeronautical engineer or, you know, rocket scientist, and he wasn't automobile engineer. Okay, so not aeronautical, I meant automobile engineer. So, but he still managed to come up with an idea, a vision of a car, and he delegated the task, and he, you know, worked with the financing and leadership and those kind of things. And then as he was doing those things, he was studying about those companies. And then he went into rocket business, then he went into solar, and all of these are so diverse. You know, initially when I started to speak, you might have labeled me as, oh, this guy must be very confused in life early on. I wasn't confused, I was just trying different things. And I was trying from a very broad spectrum of things. It's called testing, right? It's called using my own intelligence. It's called not taking other people's opinions, all right? So Elon Musk really operates from his own intelligence. You can see that. He doesn't give a fuck about anybody's opinion. He wanted to go into rocket. He went into rocket. He was passionate about something. It was at a dream state. It was his dream state, and he just followed his gut instinct and he put the pieces together. Same thing with the car company. He had a vision to transform humanity, and he did it. So what I'm really getting at is you gotta open up your mind first before you decide. And you gotta really identify your dreams, goals, and visions. So when I was growing up, I realized, and as I was growing up, I felt very insecure about my career. Okay, I was really insecure and I didn't know where this insecurity came from, but I was so fearful that I couldn't sleep at night just thinking about my career and what my life is going to be. And then I realized that pressure came from my family. And my family, for some reason, kept giving pressure for career, and grades and degrees and college education. And I didn't understand why they were doing that, because I still don't understand, because all of those pathways lead to a job. And I didn't regard job as a success at all. Even when I was much younger, I still regarded doing a job as part of slavery. It's a corporate slavery. Somebody else controls your time and pays you some money, basic expenses that is not going to result in anything. And even though with time your income increases, your expense also increases with wife and kids. So ultimately you're left with very little, and you're always, for the rest of your life, you're in a vulnerable position. And in my family, and not just in my family, all my friends and their families, an entire community that I was around, like a maze, they all thought the same way. And they all attached so much prestige to this thing called job, that, oh, he has got this much package and that much package, and each package had 10-20% difference in it. I mean, what the fuck does it matter what package somebody has? But they just spoke in this way, as if the undertone of the conversation was as if that was success. So that was the definition of success in my community. And when I started to write down my goals, I realized my goals were just so big, and I did not resonate with any of the careers that were proposed to me. So for a good few years, I was just like confused, looking at people celebrating their job. Somebody got a job at a bank, basically doing Excel sheet work. I mean, what's there to celebrate about that? I mean, if you're in a position like that, I can understand and I have empathy for you. But celebrating that somebody got hooks into you and is exploiting your time to make their own companies rich, I think that's a pretty tough position, and somebody in that position needs to be empowered to get out of that position, but definitely not clap that behavior, because that clapping can sometimes keep that person in that position. Sometimes you may need a little bit of a poke, which I am doing in this video. All right, so you have this pressure from the family to go in a certain direction, and you're operating from their opinion. So that's another factor that goes against you. If you choose a career based on the opinion of your family, that's going to be very damaging to your future, because your family is not going to deal with the consequences of your decisions. You are going to deal with that. And it's, over time, really, you have to live with yourself. You may live with your family or not, but you definitely have to live with yourself. So you betraying yourself is not going to serve you. I remember there was one guy who reached out to me recently. He said, I'm going to college in America. I said, why are you going to college in America? Why are you going to college in the first place? Can you tell me? He says, I don't know. My mom wants me to go to college. I said, I understand. My mom wanted me to go to college, so I went to college and I dropped out, but it was pointless. How is this aligned with your goal? What are your goals? And he said, I want to make hundreds of millions. I said, how is this college going to fit with that? It doesn't fit. So we do act from the opinions and to please our family and friends and to fit in. Whether you accept it, whether you don't accept it, that is a factor that affects your decisions, and there is a bias towards that. So for me also, there was a bias, and I was given 4 or 5 options and I didn't want any of them. So I didn't decide. I took the risk of getting into the business world, and I really sat down one day and wrote down all my goals, dreams and desires. So what you want to do and what your goal, what your career should be based on is your goals, your dreams and your desires, and what you want out of life in terms of your lifestyle and what you want to do, how you want to live. And that dream and that goal, that is what decides the career. Your dream chooses the career. The career doesn't dictate what lifestyle you will have. Your lifestyle dictates the type of lifestyle you want to live, dictates the career you have. It's very counterintuitive. People think, oh, whichever career you go in, your lifestyle is according to that. No, the lifestyle you want, your career should be dependent, you should be based on that. It's just the other way around. So the first thing you want to do is write down your dreams and your goals. Once you write down every item that you want, a house, a penthouse, an ocean facing house, a beautiful woman, I decided for myself early on that I want a beautiful, blonde, blue-eyed woman as my girlfriend, and she was clearly based out of India. So I knew I was going to live outside of India. So just that one goal positioned me outside of India. So it's very strange how your goals will actually decide the decisions. Decide where you go. So it's important to identify them. It's important to be very specific. The moment I wrote down my goals and all the goals translate itself into numbers, right? Finance. Once you have identified your goals and dreams and converted them into finance, then you can compare this number with all the careers that are out there, and you will know what you want to do. If that number goes above $10 million, $100 million, clearly your pathway is entrepreneurship. The top executive will make a few $1 million a year. But if you look at UAE, for example, the smallest or the very small business is going to make a few $1 million a year. So in one career choice, you have the least successful business in a place like Dubai will be making $1 million, and it's not a big deal. It's not a thing of pride. In entrepreneurship, to make $1 million in the real entrepreneurship, okay, it's not a big deal. It's not considered a big deal. As an executive, to make $1 million, and $1 million in an executive role is made by top lawyers and doctors, okay? It's a tremendous, there is so much pride attached. These guys, they feel like they've accomplished the world. And their families also believe that. But here, entrepreneurs are like, oh, I'm just a little guy, because the big hitters, the entrepreneurs, are making a lot of money. Now, executives can take entrepreneurship roles and can take shareholder positions, and then they can become wealthy. Yes, in that sense. And entrepreneurs can take executive role, like Elon Musk was also a CEO of his companies. So that also can happen, the transitions. But ultimately, if you want to make a lot of money, entrepreneurship is the pathway. If you don't want to make a lot of money, then fine, you can be an executive and you can work, and that's your choice. And it's less risky to be executive than go into entrepreneurship, and that's one of the reasons entrepreneurship attracts a very few set of individuals. So really, it boils down to being an executive or an entrepreneur. Within entrepreneurship, you can choose to be a small entrepreneur or you want to create a big business. Small entrepreneur would look like starting an online company. A big entrepreneur will look like real estate, mergers and acquisitions, private equity, those types of businesses. Okay, oil and gas and all of these big industries, you can decide you want to create something big. And that takes a lot of sacrifices and courage. If you look at taxes, executives have the worst tax code ever written. The whole tax code is against you. For executives, you first pay tax and then you receive the salary. For entrepreneurs, you receive the money, you make the spending, and on the balance you have to pay. So that fundamental difference puts executives even in a more disadvantageous position. So first you have a low salary, then you have a bad tax code. You're basically a slave. Okay. I don't want to use a word that's very toned down, because this profession has too much prestige attached to it. And this is one of the reasons why people hold on to their job, because they're getting all of this validation from their family. Oh, such a good boy, he's always on the top of everything, you know, he got a job. And there's this cocoon of pressure. That's very good pressure, you know, like covert pressure. People compliment you to keep you there, right? And people discourage you if you want to get out of that place. So that's conditioning, okay? That's social conditioning. And you will see when you want to decide to become an entrepreneur, the kind of feedback that you will get from your friends and family is going to be nuts. Okay, they're going to think you're gone crazy. If you tell your family you want to start a business, they will think you're sick or something, you know. So family biases play an important role. You have been conditioned that educational background and qualifications, even expertise is required. It's not. Look at Elon Musk, look at Steve Jobs. He had no background in creating an iPhone. And plus it's a new product, it was an innovation. So how can you have a background in something that didn't exist before? So you got to really think outside the box. You got to plug out of that group think that people have, the herd mentality, and you have to really think like a lion, like the king of the jungle, like an authority figure that has his own mind, his own intelligence. And if you're watching this channel, I trust that you have that, and you're already finding your way out of that position into something that can make all of your dreams happen. So once I decided to take a position as an entrepreneur, all I had to find was the right business model. I experimented several, and some of them worked, some of them didn't. Those that worked, I went deep into them. All right, so that's my video. I have given a very vague framework, but this will get you to what you want to do in life. Just remember, your career is going to be based on your goals and your dreams, not your qualifications, not the opinion of your family members, and not your skill set or expertise, because you can always build skill set and expertise over time. If you don't want to build them, you can bring people on board who will. And it makes sense to get into entrepreneurship rather than get into a job, or to stay in the job. If you're already in a job, it'll still make sense for you to switch. The timing, do not take immediate disruptive decisions. You got to plan, you got to think, you got to identify the right business model. You have to keep the job, keep working at the job so that you can pay your expenses. Survival is important, don't get me wrong. You may need a job at this point in life, but you can start to think in this direction and start to cultivate a pathway. Hire mentors, read some books that can help you prepare to start a business. You may even start while keeping this job and start building this so that one day you can quit the job and do this full time. So that's what I leave you with. I have a very strong position on that, as you can tell, that I really don't think it is a wise decision to sell all of your time for a $2,000, $5,000, even $10,000 job. The potential is very limited, and the conversion from time to money is very low. So you want maximum conversion. You want your time to give you the most amount of return, because time is one of the most valuable assets. You can get money back, but you cannot get time back. You know, my mentor always said this: you can't get your time back. No matter what you do, you cannot get your time back. So at least you're giving something you cannot have again. It's a very scarce resource. At least you want the maximum return. Maximum returns are possible in entrepreneurship, but no risk, no glory. Entrepreneurship will have risk associated with it. Being an executive, you're not taking any risk because you have already given up. You're already defeated. So what's the risk? And I was telling my girlfriend the other day, you have two options: slavery or war. Pick your poison. I leave you with that. If you like the video, hit that subscribe button. I'll talk to you soon.